Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. Arnold Nerenberg. I've been licensed to practice clinical psychology in the state of California since 1974, and I was issued a birth certificate in 1941 saying I'm officially here. And it's truly my pleasure and my privilege to be here with you. A great enjoyment. I'm honored to be in your presence and have the opportunity to share with you insights and inspirations of a lifetime. The title of today's presentation is A Mother's Psychological and Spiritual Journey, Conception, Pregnancy, Delivery, and Postpartum. A Mother's Psychological and Spiritual Journey, Conception, Pregnancy, Delivery, and Postpartum. I'm dedicating this to all you beautiful, wonderful mothers. Some mothers have children, biological children, and some don't. But you're mothers. I'm going to tell you the spiritual part of this first. Something you never thought of, I guarantee you. But when you reflect on what I'm going to tell you, you'll agree it's true. It has to do with why you have children, why we have children. I have 6 biological children, 1 stepson. Wonderful children, all 7. Why do we have children? Some would say, well, it's a biological urge, it's genetically programmed. It's not the whole story. It's only a small part of the story. I'm going to tell you the spiritual reason why we do. I'm going to try to whisper it to you. I'm going to try to whisper to you the answer to that. You loved your child. You loved your children before they were even conceived. You loved your child. You loved your children even before they were conceived. And that's why you have the child, because you already loved the child unconditionally. It's not like making a friend where you like the person's personality, their look, their values. You love your child before conception, and you didn't know the child's name, or you might have had an idea. You didn't know the gender, but you already loved your child. That's deep, that's spiritual. Then on conception, how many people start talking right away to their children? The father's rubbing the belly, the mother's rubbing the belly. You don't even know the particulars of that little person in you. You don't even know the particulars, but you're already loving. You're sending all these nice vibrations and energies. And you're taking good care of yourself because you want your child that you already love to be healthy. Well, you love the child before conception and after conception. Before they were born. You knew you loved them before they were born, because everybody, when they're in the womb, everybody's talking to the baby, rubbing the baby, playing good music for the baby, whatever. But what you didn't know is you loved that child before he or she was born. And that's why you had the baby. Even if you never had children, you still love the unborn children, your unconceived children before they were born. That's the spiritual reality of this. That's the mystery. And it's an unconditional love. They don't have to earn this love. When a child is born, you're going to love that child. You may not always like your child, but you have the unconditional love. That's powerful. Reflect on this, you'll see it's true. Now, really, having a child is a family situation. I mean, you've got the father, your husband, or your partner. Then you have the grandparents. The grandparents want to have that grandchild. In fact, some grandparents are working and Maybe they're getting older. They say, if you have that child, I'll quit my job and take care of the baby. The grandparents loved the child before the child was conceived, before the child was born, both conception and born. Same love. There. It's very powerful. So, when we're talking about the conception, we're talking about finding your mate, your beloved, person that you want to be with the rest of your life, person you want to create that home with. That's a whole journey in itself. I know what women go through in their dating lives, and meeting guys that felt betrayed by or let down by, all the disappointments you went, and even coming to the right person. I know you went through enormous trials and tribulations in finding the right person to be with. And that's all part of the conception process, finding that right person. Now, to find the right person, you have to be the right person. A good criterion is you want to look for a deep, genuine, honorable man. Honorable. Certainly a lot of men you're going to like or feel attracted to, but somebody you feel you can have a lifetime with that will be loyal to you, and you're going to be loyal to him. Now, not every woman can conceive. It could be not the woman's issue, it could be the man. So just being able to conceive is amazing. I mean, there are people who go to fertility clinics, spend $20,000 trying to get some help. So if you've been able to conceive, that's something to really appreciate. One simple thing to test is your thyroid gland. So if the thyroid's underactive, it's going to be a lot harder to conceive. You need to get, if your TSH is elevated too much, that means your thyroid's not active enough. That could be one possible cause of infertility. On the man's part, or on the woman. Then you find you're pregnant. Perhaps you did a pregnancy test, you missed your period. You find you're pregnant. And if it was planned, and even if it's not planned, many of us were accidents. But you're happy. You find out in a normal situation, there's other situations where this is not the case, but in a normal situation, you're happy. I'm pregnant. And a normal father will go, oh, that's so exciting. And then both sets of parents, the grandparents find out. And they're excited. It's a happy time. Generally speaking, it's a very happy time. So this is part of the emotional journey. You're happy, excited. Then you get the ultrasound. You find out the gender, male, female, you have a son or a daughter. Oh, it's that son. I always wanted a son. Or it's a girl. Oh, I'm so happy I'm having a daughter. Everybody gets excited again and find out the gender. Another happy time. And then nausea, or morning sickness, maybe some spotting. Things happen. Hormones start raging. You're not too happy now. See, it was happy, joyful, and now you're tired, irritable. And as beautiful as you've been as a woman, your belly's getting bigger. You're not liking that belly. The shape that you like, and that your man likes, well, it's changing. The shape is changing. Not in the ways that you would have liked, but that's part of the process. So you're paying a price there with your illness, And of course, you're always worried about your pregnancy. You're worried about that baby. That's a natural protective instinct. And you're putting on weight. You're putting on weight. Something you always try to stay in shape, take good care of yourself. Now you're gaining weight. Not only the weight of the baby, but you're eating for two, getting all that food in you. And that's maybe feel a little vulnerable. You want to be sure your husband's still looking at you, not your significant other's looking at you, not checking out other people, because you don't feel as beautiful as you once were. You are beautiful. You're very beautiful in that pregnant state. But you might not feel that way. Very often women don't. And so they're looking at the man. I notice you're talking too much to that girl. Or you're joking around too much. Or you start noticing things, overreacting to things out of insecurity, out of being vulnerable. Then comes the time, delivery, going into labor, especially if it's your first child. I mean, the first child labor takes the longest. It could be 12 hours, 16 hours, whatever. After the first child, the others come shooting out very quickly. Boom, they're coming out. There are people who say, I want to do it all naturally. The pain builds up and they start screaming for a saddle block. Give me a saddle block. I need something. Can't take it. Very painful process, excruciatingly painful. Fortunately, women forget about how painful it was. That's how you could have a second, third, fourth, however many you're going to have. Very, very painful process at that time. And some women get angry at their man at that time. Well, he's got it easy. I'm going through this. You did this to me. I mean, very unusual thoughts could start up. Then, if you're lucky, so right now you're able to conceive, that's awesome. If you're lucky, you're able to deliver vaginally, and the baby comes out through the canal, gets coated with probiotics, very healthy. Sometimes, but often there are complications. A C-section, you get cut open, get the baby out. The healing of that is something else. The healing, you want to get vitamin C. You can ask the doctor for intravenous vitamin C, about 15,000 milligrams. We just start drinking a lot of orange juice, putting lemon in the water, taking vitamin C pills. You got to speed up that healing either way. Vitamin C is going to speed that up. You're already on your prenatal, that's good. Of course, you have to talk to your doctor about all these aspects that I'm telling you in terms of vitamins and nutrition or whatever. The pain. I mean, women are screaming and the labor. Now, laying down is not the best way, but that's what hospitals are set up for. Women used to just squat over and have their baby because then gravity's pulling the baby down. That's why you're laying down. So it takes a lot of pushing. But squatting is the more natural way the baby that comes down. In fact, they had these processes with people being in water and the baby would come out. And there you go. Baby's born. Now you're happy again. There's a happiness. So when the baby's normal, sometimes they're premature. The technology is amazing now. Amazing. One of the big breakthroughs in terms of keeping children alive and the mother alive is when doctors realize they have to wash their hands. Washing their hands cut down the mortality of babies and mothers. Washing hands. In fact, when the doctor first started doing that in the delivery room, other doctors laughed at him. It took many, many years for it to become standard of care, washing the hands. Having clean hands, but having gloves on. So now, happy. Baby comes, they put her on the breast, hold it, the father's there, sees his child. This is a happy time, especially if it's a good delivery. Normal, baby's normal. Mother's normal. So now the grandparents are happy, very, very happy, and you're happy as a mother. Father's happy. In a normal situation, the father's happy. So there are times when you're nauseous and you're in pain. You were not a happy parent. Now you are. So now you get to meet the physical form of the baby that you love. And keep in mind, you loved before conception, you loved after conception when the baby was a fetus inside your womb. Baby comes out, you love the baby. You don't even know him or her. You don't know the personality, character. You don't know anything, but you already love him because that's the spiritual amazing thing. Now, just to give you a heads up, when you have children, whatever expectations or hopes you have typically is not going to happen. And in many ways, the children will be a disappointment in life. It's normal. And we're vulnerable. You're going to worry. They get sick, the expense, everything else. The real gift of your children to some extent are a gift in themselves, to some extent. My mother used to say, partly seriously, partly jokingly, but partly serious, having children is highly overrated. The real gift of your children is that they awaken the divine spark of love in you, unconditional love for that child. Your power, the power of your love, the real gift of your children is your love for that child. Your love is the gift. That powerful, unconditional love. Where you die for your child, you do anything you can for your child. That's the gift, to know that kind of love. Keep in mind, you love the child before conception, after conception, and after being born into this world. You love that baby. Just love him. You love her, you love him. You love him. That's reality. That's the amazing quality about this thing. Now, when you're having your baby, some women can breastfeed, some women can't. In terms of latching, the baby latching, many women have inverted nipples, flat nipples. They have to wear something over their breast a shield so the baby can get the milk out. And if you're lucky, you have a protruding nipple, so the baby can really latch on. Some women have a shorter protruding nipple, so a tougher, a bigger nipple. Now, the whole lactation process, if you get stressed out with some nutritional issues, milk is good, it's not good. And each of these things affects your self-concept. Can you conceive or not? You have vaginal delivery or C-section. All these things affect how women feel about themselves. Can you breastfeed? How are the nipples in terms of baby latching? Each of these things affects many women's sense of their womanhood. Each one. Pumping, getting the milk. Wonderful thing, because your milk has colostrum, which actually strengthens the immune system. Some women can't sustain that milk output, but if you can, a year, even 2 years, it's really good. It's a good bonding with the child. Very good bonding. So now we're up to now when you have a baby, you're always worried. You get nightmares. Everything's about the baby. You have any thoughts something could happen? If you go away from the baby, you could have separation anxiety. And the baby will get separation anxiety. So there's a whole realm of flood. Your hormones are in transition. Typically, libido is low. Many women don't want to have sex with their men during that time. It could go on a month, 2 months, 3 months, 9 months. I had one woman after the baby was born, she would feel violent if her husband even touched her. And they used to have a very active sex life, but she would feel violent towards him, did not want to be touched, period, much less have sex. So the libido could go down. Now, some women, it stays medium, but a lot of women, it goes way down. They're worried, they're anxious, that interferes with it. And the organs, the breast and the vagina, rather than being, sexual organs, are really just milk factories and way of delivery through the vagina. So it changes the whole nature of it. And women have postpartum hair loss. Again, the woman looking that well, not up to your standards, how you'd like to look. The belly maybe is looser and flabbier. Some women, after they've been breastfeeding, the breast might get saggy. There's certain natural exercise that can be done to help lift that up. But that could be disturbing. Saggy breasts, small, whether the breasts are small, medium, or large, they can start sagging, and there's a lot of concern about that. So women go through all these challenges, huge amount of challenges. It's really important for the husband or the partner to really give all the support you can, emotionally, physically, in every way you can to your women. Absolutely. Two things help a lot. I love you, and I'm sorry. If you're sorry about something, you did something, you upset her, I'm sorry. Expressing that love, very important. Very important for men to keep expressing that love. Now, if you have other children, the baby's going to get all this attention. The other children can be neglected. So I highly recommend that the grandparents or the father takes each child out for at least an hour and a half alone a week. At least an hour and a half alone. Because otherwise, the other children will become jealous and resentful towards the newcomer. At best, the children welcome the baby and want to take care of the baby and help with it, but also can develop this resentment because now mommy that used to give you attention is paying attention to the baby. So this child is going to need a lot of attention from other family members. The sacrifice that mothers make is unbelievable. Your comfort, your body, your well-being, your belly, your hair, everything. I mean, just whatever you can do. Amazing. Amazing. And at this time in history and in this country, it would be wonderful if children felt great gratitude for what all that the parents did, what the mother did and the father did. Often it's not there. Gratitude's often not there. Now, the responsibility is to guide that child. When you're in a parenting stage, you're not entertainment committees, going to Disneyland or Knott's Berry Farm. That's all good, but that's not your main job. Your main job is to guide that child emotionally, spiritually, prepare the child for life. That's your job. In terms of entertainment, going to Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, or wherever you want to go, taking a vacation somewhere, that's great, but secondary. Now, a lot of times when I ask women, what's your purpose in life? They'll say, well, raising my baby. Very often that's what I hear. I say, well, you really want to have, your purpose in life is not just your baby, it's your family and honor. Everybody will agree to that, family and honor. A very important part of the baby's well-being and security is dependent on your relationship with the father. To the extent that you're loving each other and you develop, again, a good intimacy sexually and emotionally, the child feels that. Or if there's a strain and tension between the two of you, the child will feel that. One of the best things you can do for your children is to keep a strong relationship with the father. When people get divorced or whatever, they break up, can't be done. But if you're remaining together, you want to keep that relationship strong. You want to be, whatever you can do, if it's possible, to get at least go out once a week on a date night. Very, very important. If one of the grandparents or grandparents can take care of the baby for a little while, so be it. Now, the child really needs you for the first 5 years so they develop speech. Otherwise, things can happen. They're in other people's hands. The child can't really talk. So it's really best if you or one of your parents is there, or a sibling that you really totally trust. At 5 years old, the child can start saying things and tell you what's going on. Now, each child, some people feel really lonely because they just have the child. They can't really talk to, you can't really have a meaningful conversation. A lot of mothers feel lonely. Sometimes the mother feels, I've got somebody is finally mine. So maybe they weren't that close to the husbands, or they say, I've got somebody in my life, my child. But generally, postpartum women are lonely. They're in the house, everybody's got their jobs, they're going on with their lives, unless the parents live in the house with them or siblings. But typically, I see a lot of loneliness with postpartum women, a lot of loneliness. Really needing attention, adult conversation. Now, each child is different. I don't have to tell you that in so many ways. I want to tell this to you mothers and fathers. If you meet somebody at the office or at school, you're going to take to some people, not others. It's the same with the children. Some of them are going to really like you, but they may not. You may have 1 out of 5 children that really want your company. The others want to just get off on their own. So it's not like they're all going to want to hang with you when they're getting older or teenage years or even their childhood. They may not. You still love them and you do everything you can. But they're different how much they're going to like you and want to be with you. Even though you sacrifice so much, that's the case. And then when they get older, many children just move away, hardly see the parents again. Empty nest syndrome, very common. But some children will have a sense of duty and devotion. It's rare nowadays, duty and devotion to the parent. Most children in our society today feel a sense of entitlement, and it can be a problem. But again, the real gift of your children, the real gift of your child, is your unconditional love for your children. That's it. Your love is unbelievable. And that child, particularly for the mother, will always be your little baby. I don't care if the child's 20, 30, 40, 50. That's your baby. So when there are issues come up, a lot of times mothers are enablers. They don't draw the boundaries. They don't do enough discipline. So a lot of times the fathers have to do that. Sometimes the mothers can get into that aspect, but that's always going to be your baby. It's just like that. The father might be able to take a little distant view and look at the overall picture and say we need to be able to have consequences when he's doing this, that. Typically the mother says, you can't get away from that. That's my baby. That's a biological fact. That's how that works. Now, certainly during pregnancy, postpartum, you want to create as much stability as you can. Now, the 4 commandments of honor, when you recite them 3 times a day, that repetition is preparation for application to help achieve internalization and stabilization. So when you have the 4 commandments, you walk the path of honor, you're repeating the commandments of honor, that will help stabilize you during pregnancy, during postpartum, and the rest of your lives. It's good to then pass that on to your children. 4 commandments of honor are these. I wish you well. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality, my problems. I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. And then 1 of 2, depends whether you believe in God, as I do. If you believe in God, God, your wish is my only wish. If you don't believe in God or don't want to address God, I seek always to serve my highest values. That's going to stabilize you. Then, of course, you want to have the bridge, which is a bridge between honor and reality that you add to that. What's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? So you're doing your 4 commandments of honor and your bridge. That's going to take you the distance. It's going to help stabilize you. It's going to make you more resilient. You're going to come back from any down period with more wisdom and compassion. Remember this, depression, suffering, as well as happiness are fleeting, but honor is forever. Suffering and happiness are fleeting, but honor is forever. That's going to stabilize you. You still got to have those hormones going on. You still got to have issues going on. But if you're dealing honorably with it in thought, word, and action, it's going to take you far. Well, it's been my pleasure to present this to you. I want to hear from our wonderful, wonderful people that are here right now. You always have such great things to ask and say, and everything you say helps everybody else who is present. And people, when they attend our presentations, do it not only to hear me, but also to hear you. They want to hear what each of you are thinking, and that way people feel less alone and part of a community. So I'm going to open it up for, yes. Please.
Hi, this is Viridiana. How are you?
Viridiana, very good. Please, I'm happy you're here, Viridiana.
So, I'm 8 months pregnant, and this just hit home. It was very important for me to log in. I know sometimes I have to log in a few minutes later, but this one I'm like, I have to be there on time just because I really wanted to hear it. And it's just so funny because unfortunately all last week I had COVID, and having COVID at 8 months pregnant, it's no fun, especially with my stress level. It was off the roof.
Well, hopefully the baby is more resistant to the COVID virus because it was vaccinated against it through the COVID. Hopefully, exactly.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there's not a lot of research when it comes to that, but let's just hope and pray that that's the case.
I think you could pretty well count on that.
It's funny because my whole time that I was in quarantine, thankfully my husband and my other 2 kids didn't get it. So the whole time I was here, I was somewhat thankful that my other 2 kids didn't have it. But then, like you mentioned, even though it's an unborn child, I was still so worried about him,
That's the normal mama bear thing to protect that child at all costs. That's normal.
Yeah. So it's definitely true that you love your kid even before planning on conceiving, and
see,
I agree with it 100%.
That's the thing. I know you never thought of that before, did you?
No, never. Yeah. I always knew I wanted to be a mom, but I never knew I would love them as much, You
love your children before they were conceived, and now you have that baby, and you probably rub your belly, talk to your baby, you show love to the baby.
Yes, most definitely. Yes.
And you don't even know him or her. I mean,
yeah,
you don't know the favorite color. You don't know the character. But
that unconditional love you always will have. Yes, for sure.
And you had it before, and you had that child because you loved the child. That's why you had him. It's not like you had the child and you loved the child. No, you loved the child, and that's why you conceived.
And like you mentioned, there is women out there that don't ever want to be moms, and that's totally fine. But I just feel like if you're that one person that does want to become a mother, you know it. You have that feeling since before conceiving.
Absolutely. Most women want to have it. They have that in them, but they might feel more drawn to their careers or whatever. Or they say the world is such a terrible place. I don't want to bring children into this world. So you have that. But within us is that. But they also love their unborn children, their unconceived children. They have that love, but it's not going to manifest for them. And also, there are women who can't find the right man.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're in their 40s by the time they do, and they can't conceive.
Yeah, agreed. But yes, just wanted to put my little input in there.
Well, I'm really so thankful for your input. So at the pregnancy stage, wow. Well, how long were you in labor with the first child?
My first child was in labor. Thankfully, I had a good experience, only 14 hours.
Okay, 14 hours. And after that, what was it after that?
And then my daughter, I was in labor for 10 hours.
All right, this one is going to come out even more quickly.
So I hope this one, you said, just pop them out.
Pop them out. That's really what happened. Yeah.
Yes, but that's very true.
Yeah. Very good. Really appreciate your input. Very valuable. Very, very valuable.
Thank you, Doctor. You have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on there. Right.
Doctor, this is Nancy.
Nancy. Welcome, Nancy.
Welcome. Yeah. So it's funny that you're mentioning, I never, I guess, heard anyone really talk about it. I never even shared this with my husband when you brought up the spiritual. So I'd been married for 7 years, and we had been wanting to have a baby. And when I found out I was pregnant, I thought it was going to be the happiest thing. And even the girl at the clinic told me, "Do you want the child?" And I was just so much in shock. And it took me a long time to understand why I wasn't happy. And, I'm very spiritual. I'm a strong believer. I don't really go to church, but I read the Bible. I study the Bible. I pray a lot since I was a little girl.
Nice.
And so I started praying, trying to figure out what was going on. And, several times into me praying, trying to figure out what was going on, I got this flashback of me going when I was a teenager into Planned Parenthood. And it was the funniest thing. And I thought, what does that have to do with, while I was praying, that thought came to mind. And I thought, what does that have to do with it? And just praying more into it and trying to figure out, I thought, you know what? Maybe there's like a stronghold there. There has to be something spiritual. My baby was born, he was healthy, but even through the pregnancy, and I'll be honest, and it's just like this, I've never even spoken it out, so I feel bad even saying it. But I remember thinking I was just so sick and so, I was pregnant, but then again, there was stuff going on, I think spiritually, that I thought, well, if I lose a baby, it'll be okay. And now I think about it, and I have a 3-year-old, and I think, oh my God, that's the worst thing I could ever think of.
Well, people have really those kind of thoughts. Absolutely.
And I feel like once I got that memory that, I would go over there to go get checked when I was a teenager and to go get, help without my parents knowing and stuff like that. I never had an abortion or anything like that. But I felt like maybe I picked something up there, like something spiritually.
Oh, you mean some kind of negative spiritual force?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm not going to say that can't happen. I'm not going to say that. These spiritual forces are beyond our understanding.
Yes. And I'm very sensitive to that. Like once in a while, I'll be like, some people call it like, oh, it's intuition or, a feeling or a vibe.
Well, you're very perceptive, Nancy. I know that about you. Very in tune.
So, I started praying that out, and I started, I ended up getting on my knees a few days after that when I really understood and comprehended, like, you know what, I think I picked something up there because I've been wanting to get pregnant. I was already going to be like 40. And
wow, you had your first at 40?
I was 39. I had him at 40.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. And so anyhow, once I started repenting, I remember I got down on my knees and I repented, and I went into his crib and got down on my knees, and I just started sobbing, and I felt like something almost lifted off of me. And since that day, like I haven't felt like, there was something, I can't even explain it, like a weight, like, obviously I think
So when it lifted, when you repented and you prayed, did you feel something literally lift, or you didn't feel that?
I did.
Where did it lift? Where, how did you feel? What was that lifting like?
I never even knew I had it. I just felt like I was able to feel joy for having my child. Like, I'm glad he's here.
So joy came in, but did some kind of other energy lift up and go through you and lift up, or that's not the case?
No, it was more like just weight. Like
weight. The weight left. Okay.
It left.
And you felt joy.
Yeah, I was able to actually start. From that moment on, I was able to bond with him.
Wow. And amazing story. You're the whole image of you right now is joy. That Christmas tree, the gold on there, you being next to it, the whole setting is beautiful, very joyful feeling, very home.
My son picked the colors. So
wow, it's great. He has good taste. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's really glad you shared your journey, because other people go through that, and this way they feel less alone or less abnormal, because people feel something's wrong with them when they have these things. These are what people have. These are normal thoughts and feelings to get.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that I guess I would encourage. We're all here for different reasons, and I know you're helping me learn other stuff that I'm going through now. But, just bringing things up to God, at least in my opinion, it's so helpful, and
that's the best. That's the best. I think that repentance, getting down on your knees and praying and then weeping, and that's extremely powerful, extremely therapeutic, very healthy, spiritually and emotionally healthy.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well,
beautiful. Thank you, Nancy, so much. So very much. Thank you.
Hey, Dr. Nerenberg, I had a question.
Yes. Say your first name, please.
Blake.
Blake. Welcome, Blake. Good to see you, Blake.
Yes, thank you. Good to see you too, Dr. Nerenberg. So I was recently diagnosed as being most likely infertile, and I just wanted to ask a question. I was wondering if anything you said about the relationship between parents and kids changes if your kids are adopted, not biological.
Well, it's hard to answer that for sure. I think it's a wonderful thing to have the children. You're going to love that child unconditionally. You know, you're getting as a baby, so you're really the father. You're getting as a baby. Now, adopting them when you're older, it could alter that, but you're getting as a baby. That's powerful. The connection will be really, really good. Really good. A great connection. I know children were adopted because of conception issues. And the only issue that happens for adopted children is if there's biological children and adopted, the adopted always feels vulnerable that you're showing some preference to that. But that's not going to be the case with you. If you're not going to be able to conceive, there's going to be adopted children. But when you start mixing it, the adopted child can feel very vulnerable. You might do 1,000 things for the adopted child, but you do one thing for the biological child, and they think, you prefer him. So but if yours are all going to be adopted, you won't run into that problem. You won't run into that problem at all.
Right. So you think if they're adopted young, it would pretty much be the same?
You'll have a very good fatherhood, a very good family life, an excellent family life. Excellent. Now, the one thing I recommend is early on tell the baby that they're adopted. You don't want them finding out on their own later on. Just say, you know what, I'm your chosen father, it's your chosen mom. We chose you. We didn't just have you. We chose you. We chose to have you. So you're special. Present it in a positive way.
Right.
You're a chosen child, not like these other children that they weren't specifically chosen. You are. You want to put it reframe it in the most constructive way possible, and that would be it.
That's great advice. Thank you, Dr. Nerenberg.
You're most welcome, Blake. It was a pleasure to see you again.
And Blake, just something that I heard the other day. This is Nancy. There was, I think, something on YouTube that popped out while I was picking up the kitchen, and then they were talking about children, and it was a comedian, and he said, children are a pain in the rear 75% of the time, but that 25% is the other 25% is the reason why you keep them is because they're cute. So keep that in mind, because they're going to be a pain in the rear if they're yours or they're not. But I think if you want them, you're going to love them regardless. And children need love. As you need love, as I need love, I think as anybody else needs love, that's all you need.
Right.
Well, that's very good.
That's good advice. I appreciate that, Nancy.
Nancy, thank you. That was perfect advice, perfect feedback, perfect. Anything else you want to ask or say?
Dr. Nerenberg,
Yes, please.
Can I chime in? It's Marta.
Marta, good to see you.
Hi, and I wasn't sure who asked that comment about the adopted child.
Blake was asking, yeah.
Blake. So I am familiar with the industry, and just to add to what Doctor said, you also want to show love and respect to the birth parents and make sure that the child knows that the child's loved everywhere. It's not just from you, but also from the birth parents, because it is a very courageous decision that they're making. But if you go into it with an open heart, open mind, and just give all the love out there, I think it'll be a beautiful relationship. Set boundaries, but you'll do amazing.
I didn't even think about that at all, about the birth parents, but that's a really, really good point. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's not an easy journey, but it's definitely pretty amazing when everything does come together. So just be prepared for that.
And so your experience
go down that path.
Your experience in the industry, you want to elaborate a little bit on what that is?
So I used to work with the families that were looking to adopt a newborn baby. And we had birth parents come to us as well. And I saw both sides of it. It could be really sad, but it's also really beautiful. So just be prepared and keep an open heart and open mind.
Well, what percentage of the children? What percentage of the children when they get older? Because I know of cases the child gets older, they want to meet the birth parents.
A lot. they're curious. They want to know where they came from. They want to know their background. And I think just being open about it right from the beginning, like you said, is the best thing you can do. Whether the birth parents want to have a relationship or not is a different story. But you as the adoptive parents, you are the mom and dad. And it's important that you show the love for them, but also be very open with them about the background, about what's going on. Obviously age appropriate, but just starting from the beginning, she was your tummy mommy. But we're mom and dad, and depending on how the relationship goes.
You say very often there, the child is curious. At some point, they may want to meet the birth parent. I'm not saying that's a good idea or a bad idea. We're both saying it's common.
Correct.
Yeah. Thanks, Marta, for that input. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Anybody else have something you want to ask or say? I see so many postpartum women. 30% of the women I see in therapy are postpartum. So I developed.
Yeah. Hey, doctor. I just wanted to chime in. This is Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, how's it going? First and foremost, thank you everybody for sharing. And as a guy here as well, like special shout out to Blade, because that's not an easy thing to say in an open forum, man. Like talking about the infertility and stuff. So that's huge. And again, like hats off to you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. I can't speak personally about the adoption process, like the other nice woman that just spoke and everything, but I can, being friends with two different people that are adopted and have come from two different one was fortunately extremely loved, just like the other person had mentioned, like from the very beginning they had mentioned tummy mommy, gave love and shout outs to like them, so that person didn't grow up harboring a resentment or like wanting to find this person in like a, not in an aggressive way, but like, like, oh, why did you give me up or whatever, something like that. So that person came up real nice, loved and everything. And I have seen the opposite where it pains me to use this analogy, but like unfortunately upbringing was very similar to like, like a puppy dog at Christmas. And it's like they had adopted a person, if they adopted her, they didn't all the way through, no challenges, but like cultural differences, because she got adopted into a different culture, you know what I mean, in terms of the adopted parents. And the parents just built up a resentment towards her. So again, as long as you go into that, just like the other person said, with love, and if this is what you want to do, you want to be a dad, it's going to be great, man. That's all it is. Like, it's just love. So,
Chris,
that's the only thing I wanted to add into that.
Chris, I'm really glad you said that, and you inspired me with a thought. Blake, here's a thought too. I think it's good, and Marta, this is something you might want to bring to the industry. The birth parents may want to write a letter, put it in writing, what happened, the circumstance. Perhaps they're saying, I thought you'd be better off with a better situation. We're not in a position to support you, whatever it is. And then at least the adopted parents have that letter if in case you ever want to give it to the child or read it to the child. At least it's an option. You have a letter, because you may not be able to ever find the birth parents, and the child may want to meet them, but you may want to have the letter and maybe pictures. So you have options. I'm not saying it's a good idea to do it. I'm just saying it's good to have the option of that letter from the birth parents and photos. You might want to share just the photos. You may want to just share the letter. But something so that they, particularly if it's the case that the birth parents really felt, we can't do enough for you. We're going through, the mother might say, your father's in prison. I can't support you. I have drug problems. It's really better for you to have a normal situation. So I'm doing this for you. At least if you have a letter that you can eventually share, it's a good option to have.
That's really good advice. I appreciate all you guys' feedback. It's really encouraging.
Yeah, it's a good option. Anybody else have anything you want to ask or say?
I just wanted to add one more thing. You reminded me.
Who's speaking, please?
Oh, it's Nancy again.
Oh, Nancy.
Sorry.
Wonderful, Nancy.
So my husband had told me that his coworker had adopted a little boy from newborn, and he was Central American, and that around the same time that my son was born. So they were going through the terrible twos, which are pretty terrible. If you have children, you know. And he said that his 2-year-old was throwing a tantrum, and when he picked him up, the 2-year-old went and slapped him across the face, and it hurt so bad. And he said, man, I just thought maybe I should just send him back, right? And then my husband started laughing and said, well, we wish we could do the same, but he belongs to us, so we don't have that option. So my point is that everybody's going to get frustrated if it's yours or if it's not yours. So just keep that in mind. Don't think it's just because it's not biological. We all go through the same things. We all do.
I'm really glad you're talking about that side of parenthood. The expense, the frustration, the worry, the disrespect, all that can go on with it. The disappointment, it's all there. And the unconditional love is there. But all the rest is part of that journey. That's real.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything you want to ask or say?
I wanted to go.
Go.
Please.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg. This is Alexis.
Alexis, welcome.
I'm currently meeting up with you right now. It's just more so of a comment of just letting you know how the 4 Commandments of Honor has been helping me to get through postpartum. I'm 39 years old. I had babies a little bit later in age, back to back. First pregnancy was 38. Very challenging delivery, but both babies came out healthy.
Thank God.
Second one at 39 years old. And they're exactly 12 months and 2 weeks apart. So I'm dealing with 2 under 2 right now.
Oh, God. That's rough.
Yeah. So with me, it's the challenge that I'm definitely going through is that I lost both of the matriarchs of my family. Unfortunately, I lost my mother to cancer and also lost my grandmother. So I'm going into motherhood pretty much like
it's all on you. Oh my God. God. Oh.
I'm figuring it out like every day by myself and really just remembering the lessons that I learned through my mother and grandmother and just praying that they're, looking down on me and really happy of the woman that I've become. But I'm not going to lie that I do face a lot of mental challenges as well, where I'm crying a lot because I miss them so much. And I don't have too many mom friends. I have one friend who's a mom that I can definitely confide in. But the type of personality that I have is that I don't like to bombard anybody with
So would you say is it a lonely journey for you?
Yes.
Yeah, it is for most moms.
It's a rewarding journey because it's what I always wanted, but I don't have the village and the support. So it's pretty much between me and my fiance that's really handling everything.
And your fiance, what about his parents? Are his parents involved? Are his parents involved?
No.
Oh.
No.
I see a lot of situations now where you don't have the extended family. It's really, really tough. Or I have people whose mothers are young and working, their fathers are working, so they don't really have time to be the grandparents in a way that you would need. Now listen, it's the toughest job in the world what you have. I'll tell you, when I remember when my 3-year-old and 4-year-old were real close together in age, that when they would start fighting, that noise that the children make when they're whining and complaining about each other is totally maddening. That's just maddening. And then the goal is just to get through that time with them without exploding. So being well versed in the commandments of honor really is necessary to bring out your best parenting. Otherwise, your own frustration and anger could start coming out on the children. Yeah. Well, God bless you. I have all the respect and admiration for you and your fiance, what you're doing. Wow. Rough. And, you can text me anytime, anything you're going through. I'm always available to you. Yeah. Wow. That's a privilege for me. Wow. Thank you, Alexis. Anybody else have anything? Somebody else wanted to say something as well.
Yeah, it's Alex, Alexandra. So I have a very similar situation like Alexis did. I have 2 kids that are a year and 2 days apart. So they're 2 and 3 now. Yeah. And so I have our hands full. I'm a working mom at home. I've also been with the kids for, the last 3 years. And I think one thing I'm really struggling with is, my relationship with my fiance is that energy at the end of the day, with that bonding. I just don't have that because I've given so much of my energy to my kids throughout the day. So I was seeing if you have any.
I do. If you could possibly make an arrangement to get a date night, if it's possible, it may not be, but you really need some one-on-one time with your fiance. Absolutely. It may not be practical right now, but because that's one of the great things you can do for the children is have that energy for each other. Sometimes that's easier said than done. I understand. Do you have anybody that can watch the children for a couple hours while you go out with your man?
Yeah. So our in-laws do help a lot with the kids while we're working for a couple hours, at least 3-4 hours a day. So we actually don't want to take advantage of being like, oh, can you watch them on, the weekends now and things like that. So it's a little bit of a struggle because we both work. So we're like, okay, we got to prioritize when, we have them watch without overburdening them and constantly asking them for that help. I think we just have a lot of guilt as well of just, asking beyond that time for.
Well, I understand. Everything you're saying, I understand it. It's really difficult. But getting that one-on-one time with your man is very, very important. I can't emphasize it enough.
Sure.
Not only for your sake and his, but for the children. You go out for a coffee, go out for dinner, go out for a walk, whatever. You have to make some time for each other for the sake of the children and yourself. Very, very important. You don't want to start losing contact and texting each other if you're so inclined, communicating through the day. Are you and your fiance expressive about "I love you," or you're not expressive that way?
Yeah, we definitely do.
Well, that keeps a good connection going. Does he give you compliments on how you look and his attraction to you?
He does, yeah.
Well, that's important for a woman because a woman can feel, hey, I'm not what I was. Got some stretch marks or whatever. By the way, during a C-section, aloe vera being rubbed on it helps heal up any scars or stretch marks from a vaginal delivery. From the belly being extended. Aloe vera, you just cut a piece off and you rub it on that belly area. It could help. And a lot of women want to lose some of their belly. One thing you can do to reduce belly size, well, one is what you're eating, but particularly if you're breastfeeding, you don't want to cut down your eating too much. But doing what's called vacuum. So right now, draw your belly button to try to touch your spine. Hold it in. Pull your belly button in towards your spine. Now release it. You do that about 10 times, 10 seconds each time. That strengthens the intra-abdominal muscles, which will then tighten up and shrink your belly by a good ½ inch or an inch. A lot of women have an issue about their bellies before pregnancy, during pregnancy, after pregnancy. So that's a really good trick to reduce belly size. But yeah, I'm glad you guys are, he's telling you that you look good, that he's attracted to you, that you love each other. And then make that time for each other. Most people don't realize it's not only good for them, but it's really good for the children. Very good. I'm glad you shared that.
Good advice. Really helpful.
I'm really glad you shared that. Thank you so much. Well, it's been my pleasure, my privilege to present a mother's psychological and spiritual journey, conception, pregnancy, delivery, and postpartum. And thank you to all of you for your wonderful contributions. Thank you.